perfect example of this is the anthrax attacks. Have you heard what the fuck is going on with this?
No. What?
Oh my God, man. All right. So first of all, when the anthrax letter, you know about the what happened, right?
Well,
so
explain
right
it
after,
for folks who don't know.
So right after 9/11, the nation was in a complete traumatized state of hysteria and fear, right? So literally weeks later, I think it was October, maybe even late September. I think it was October though. The first anthrax letters were sent in the mail. And they said death to America, death to Israel, on these letters. And they were sent oddly enough to Tom Daschle and other people who were opposed to the Patriot Act at the time. And also it killed 5 postal workers. It got sent to reporters and congressman's office, and 5 postal workers ended up dying. Some of them were fake. Basically, what came out after Cheney and Rumsfeld and all these assholes went all over the media and started tying anthrax to Saddam immediately, and immediately saying that it was all Islamic terrorism. Weeks later, it came out that it wasn't Islamic terrorism. After, you have Colin Powell holding up the vial of anthrax at the UN, using all of this to connect to Saddam Hussein, saying that there's anthrax labs there, and you have Judith Miller at the New York Times basically printing all this bullshit about anthrax and bioterror coming from Iraq, all at the same time. Then it comes out that it was a high-grade anthrax strain, the Ames strain, that came from a U.S. bioweapons lab within our own country, within our own government facilities. Then they blame this guy called Stephen Hatfill for years. They blame this guy who worked within the lab, and it was case closed. They basically ruined this guy's fucking life. They made him a person of interest multiple times. John Ashcroft came out there and he said, this is a person of interest. They never said what evidence they had against him. Years later, after everyone just thinks that it's this guy, it comes out that it's not this guy. He had to settle with the U.S. government, taxpayer funded settlement of $6 million for being falsely accused as the anthrax perpetrator for years and years. They're stalking this guy. They're threatening his family, searching through his garbage, makes him, ruins his life essentially. And then next they blame this other guy named Bruce Ivins. Once again, he had there is no actual evidence that this guy did it. So Bruce Ivins was just another guy who worked within, he was a specialist in anthrax, and they tried to pin it on him. Tried to threaten his hospitalized daughter, bribe her, searched his trash, stalked him for months and months. And he was he was a toxicologist as well. He ended up dying, committing suicide by taking an overdose of Tylenol, which is actually a really insane, horrible way to die. And it would toxify your liver, take 3 days to die. And that would be really awful for someone who's a toxicologist and knows how to kill yourself quickly. Why would you kill yourself that way? And then, so that was case closed, right? So here we are with no actual proof that Bruce Ivins really did the anthrax. All of his coworkers are he didn't do it. There is no proof. He would never have done this. He was helping the government with the investigation. Here you have, fast forward a couple of years, the FBI agent in charge of the anthrax case, this just came out a couple weeks ago. The FBI agent is now suing the government. He's suing the FBI because he's saying you purposefully hid evidence that proved that Bruce Ivins was not the perpetrator. There's exculpatory evidence that shows that he was not. I am suing you guys for fucking up the investigation. You put all these low-level interns to run this investigation, and it was totally botched from the get-go. Obama administration shut this down. He shut down the case. He said they didn't want to reopen the anthrax case. Okay, best case scenario on the anthrax attacks is that there's still a bioweapons terrorist running around free. That's the best case scenario. Worst case scenario is that the government is complicit. And either way, the government's complicit because they are not investigating who the actual perpetrator is or wanting to find them.
So whoever did it is out there.
Yes.
Whoa.
Yep.
Yeah, I had not looked into that at all.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like there's too much shit going on. You can't pay attention to everything. And if you do pay attention to it, you can't keep paying attention to it because some new shit comes along.
Yeah. But I mean, this is huge. This is the U.S. government being complicit in a bioterror attack.
We went to Duncan
unbelievable.
Trussell. Duncan Trussell and I went to the Center for Disease Control in Galveston, the big lab that they have, where they keep all the anthrax and all the Ebola locked behind 4-foot thick concrete walls and bulletproof glass, and everybody wears spacesuits. It's fucking creepy. It's so creepy. And they're working on this stuff and trying to find cures for it. I did this episode of that sci-fi show I did where we talked about weaponized diseases and viruses. And I talked to guys from the Soviet Union and talked to guys that used to run the weapons division of the Soviet Union, the weaponized disease version. And they were telling me they had trenches of anthrax, like trenches. They had enough anthrax to kill the entire country. Like they just had.
Why?
Exactly. I don't know. I don't know.
What the hell?
I don't understand it. I mean, I think during the Cold War when everything was really crazy, I think they were just ramping it up and everybody was preparing for mutual self-destruction.
I guess my biggest question about it is why was there no, like, if the government had nothing to do with it, why botch the investigation so hard? Why hide evidence to just try to pin it on this guy? Why was the Bush administration and press people on Cipro, which is like a really intense antibiotic for anthrax strain, before the attacks even happened?
They were?
Yeah. And
who gave it to them?
Exactly. Exactly. These are all questions that I have that have never been addressed. And also, why would the letters be sent to people who are opposing the Patriot Act? And also, why would they frame Muslims in the letters? Like, nothing about it makes any sense at all. Very strange, man. Very strange.
John Ashcroft.